Mow it once every, once in a while.
Look at this plant.
Yeah, so that's a planter, and if you look across the street.
Y'all snatched this up, what, a couple of years ago, so they wouldn't develop it?
2018. 2018, it was handed over to the National Park Service. It's development phase right now, so this will all be open to the public. The plan right now is end of 2025 to early 2026.
Well,
yeah, and we're gonna have a parking area, boardwalk. Everything will be cleaned up and nice. And St. John's Bluff battery. So this is the second battery on this in this area associated with the Spanish-American War. The construction began in 1898. It was finished in January of 1899. Which, if you know your Spanish-American War history,
it was over with by then.
The war was over.
Yeah, it was all in Cuba and the Philippines, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they wanted to build this battery to protect Jacksonville, the St. Johns River, the entire interior of Florida from the Spanish Navy. Of course, it is an Endicott battery.
They put on the highest point, looks like.
It's pretty high. It's very near the highest point.
It's probably, we used to overlook the river, I'm sure, too, before all that grew up.
You'll see when we get up here, you can see out the Atlantic Ocean. So this
oh, wow.
Two 8-inch breech loading howitzers. Here, they could engage targets.
They ever get the guns mounted?
They did, yeah. So these were modified Rodman carriages in here. This was a little bit different than other Endicott batteries. These are front pintle. A lot of the Endicott batteries that you see around the country were center pintle. Meaning the gun rotated on a center axis. Well, this rotated on a front axis.
Yeah.
Rails. And so they pulled all these Civil War era Rodman, smoothbore Rodman gun carriages out, and they modified them to accept the 8-inch breech loading howitzers. Those are front pintle, so these guns did not rise up like you see in a lot of Endicott batteries and then lower back down. They were fixed. There were also some mortar to cover the backside from a landing party, potential landing party attack.
Yeah.
But it was on the way out as a former colonial empire.
Yeah, you can see the ocean from here.
Gasp.
Or the river, you can see the...
So we're 73 feet up above the river here.
Yeah, when you walk it, you can feel it.
And once this is open to the public, we're going to clear this brush out. So you'll be able to right down the street to the Ribaud Monument.
Gotcha.
Which is just down the street. And that is where you'll see the earthworks for the original Span Am artillery battery.
Oh, nice.
It's also where the Confederate Army had artillery batteries during the Civil War. And you'll get a sense, you can see that view from up there, and that'll be similar to what you'll be able to see here. But they could engage targets like 2 miles out into the Atlantic Ocean from here with these guns. They also spread electronically detonated mines across the river and ran those from here. And those mines are associated with the only fatalities associated with this place. They
really?
Exploded down here and killed 2 people and severely injured a third. Watkins in the Gulf of Mexico, which is now part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore. And I joked with their facility supervisor. I said, Gary, you got one of our guns down there. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, if you want it, you can come get it.
Y'all probably, when you open it up, probably nice to have that.
Yeah, well, we don't anticipate being able to do that. It would be a mixed operation to guns, or at least one replica gun.
Yeah.
And that may be a possibility. Here, we'll go down here. Let me check.
It is. This is the Spanish-American War battery, St. John's Bluff from the Spanish-American War. See, that's where the gun sat on there. There's one over there, too. So this wall, you can step up there. Awesome.
So this was power storage down here.
What were those holes for?
We think it had to do with blast structures. So there would have been blast doors here. It might have been blowout holes in case there was an explosion.
Yeah, they all had these vents up here. I noticed on most of them.
That is to allow, if there was an explosion, some sort of escape, I think, and not for humans, but for
the blast.
For the blast. And I believe that's what those are associated with.
Wow, this is like awesome. Over 100 years old.
Yeah.
What's it made out of? Concrete and tabby?
Yeah, not tabby, just reinforced concrete.
Okay. Bats. Two bats. We ain't gonna mess with them.
Process and all the reporting and documentation that you do for these things.
Oh, this just goes out, don't
It
it?
goes right to the neighbor's yard.
Yeah, look. You see the
They
metal?
used a mixed material, I see it.
Yeah, it's like you can see the aggregate
Yeah.
in there. It's like granite. Granite aggregate. We've had the structural.
Walking up the ramp. There's Noah. Oh, look at that.
Front with some waysides, describing the site.
So possibly by 2025, this will be open.
End of 2025, early 2026 is the goal. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I can see it, the parking there and then the little pathway.
There's gonna be a boardwalk up the right side, left side from our bench. This side, then there will be a platform here with a gate. We don't want people climbing around on the structure.
Yeah.
So there'll be a wall with more waysides and a platform here. People can kind of look at it. And then there will be a boardwalk to the right and up towards strategically defensive place. I don't know, sort of a hybrid system. It didn't fit like when we were looking for documentation, like what these guns looked like. And, the closest things we could find were the Rodman mounts up at Jekyll Island. And so if we do a replica,
Look at this
this
wall.
has to be given to that.
St. John's Bluff Battery A8.
Apparently weren't
Look at
paying
that.
taxes,
Look at that.
and,
Steps.
the property was seized and a tax
You
office
can see where the gun set, the 180
bought it online.
rail turn for the big guns.
Sight unseen.
Cannons. The Rodman cannons. There's two of them there. There's a little wall you can climb up to look at the river. And another one over here. This is awesome. You can see the other pivot point there with the metal on the side and the wall over here. Look at this big pit. Look at that. Look at these pits here they got. Look at this. This is where they go in the ground to the magazine. In there. So bats in there. And this is St. John's Bluff. This is it right here. Look, the wall goes way over here.
All ways to sort of
Oh, look, I got you.
isolate any potential explosion and try to contain it as best as possible.
Yeah. That's where we were inside there.
Yep, exactly. A Gullah Geechee community here.
Samus Trail.
Samus Trail. There was a Gullah Geechee community in this area called Cosmo, which is descendants of slaves, enslaved people. And when the Army came in and built this place, they cut off this guy's route to his fishing area, and he would still try to cut through here to go to his fishing spot. And they said, the soldiers here, the people around, said, you can't come here. And the guy said, well, why not? This is where I've been coming my whole life. You're blocking my spot. And the commander of the installation here said, I'll tell you what, you write a letter to the Secretary of War, and if the Secretary of War gives you permission, you'll be able to do it. Well, sure enough, he did. He wrote a letter to the Secretary of War, and the Secretary of War wrote back and said, Mr. Samus has permission to use the trail to access his fishing spot. And so it's kind of an interesting little story associated with this place.
Look at this. That's cool.
We don't know exactly where.
St. John's Bluff Battery, Spanish-American War.